All right, welcome to Talkin Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to go through the PPI data and talk about what it is and why it affects the stock market. The market is up today, so we're going to go through that and talk about what we can expect in the future. So if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, I appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. Lastly, if you want to be a member of the channel, you can hit the join button on the YouTube page and become a member. Members get some members-only content. In addition to that, every Tuesday, which is today, we do a members-only live stream. So we'd love to see you there. Let's talk PPI data. And first, I want to look at the stock market and show you what's going on. So we're in the middle of the trading day today. Right now, the S&P 500 is up 1.63%. The Dow's up 0.96%, so almost 1%. The NASDAQ is up 2.56%, so that's a big move up for the NASDAQ. And the Russell 2000 is up 1.77%. So we are green across the board. For those of you who follow the channel, you'll know that we watch Bitcoin very closely and the Bitcoin miners. So Bitcoin is up almost at $17,000, not quite. And the Bitcoin miners, big board's almost entirely green with some nice moves to the upside, 5, 6, 7, 8%. Core Scientific's leading the way up 12%. So the main thing that's affecting all of this is PPI. So I want to talk about PPI. I don't know that we've discussed this on the channel, and it is much, much less covered than CPI data, which everybody makes a gigantic deal out of. But the market reacts to PPI just as much as it reacts to CPI. So I just want to go through it quickly and talk about what is going on here. Okay, so we all know CPI is the Consumer Price Index, and that is talked about greatly. I've done several videos on that, and one of the main things that come out of CPI data has to do with what is the Fed going to do in the next meeting. Well, the same thing is true of the PPI data. The PPI is the Producer Price Index. So here's the news release that came out today. We'll go through it, talk about what it said, and then I want to go through and look at the impact it had on the futures market as to what they think the Fed is going to do in December, because that's really what's affecting the markets. It's all about what the Fed is going to do in December. Are they going to do 50 basis points or 75 basis points? And the stock market is going to go up or down according to what people think is going to happen going into that meeting. Obviously, the stock market doesn't live in a vacuum. That is not the only thing that is affecting the stock market. But for the last 6 months, it has been by far the number one thing that affects movement and price in the stock market. Okay, I don't want to read this whole report for you. That's boring. I'm just going to go to a summary page of this and talk about what happened. Okay, so this is 11/15/2022. This is the data that came out this morning. You're going to see actual PPI was up 0.2%. Now, the consensus was that it was going to be up 0.4%. So this is a beat. Every time we have a beat to the downside on CPI or PPI, these are all positive things. These are all things that give the Fed cover to do less of a rate hike. So everybody is hoping the Fed's going to do a 50 basis point rate hike instead of a 75 basis point rate hike. Well, this is more cover for them. This is more evidence to support a 50 basis point hike, which we'll go take a look at what the market thinks, because there is a futures market that kind of tells us what the market is pricing in. So effectively, you'll see this is good news. If I go down the list here, you're going to see inflation's at 7.7 versus 8.2. Producer prices change is at 8%. It was at 8.4%, so that's down. Core producer price year over year came in at 6.7%, and it was at 7.1% last week. So you can see all these numbers are down. So these are all beats. This is all good news. So just quickly to explain what this is and why it's important. The PPI can be a leading indicator of what the CPI is going to be, because the PPI is measuring things at the wholesale level, whereas the CPI is measuring things at the consumer level. So obviously, good news here gives people hope that there will be more good news in the next CPI report. So if wholesalers are having to pay less, that is an indicator that potentially consumers may expect to pay less going forward. Okay, so I'm just going to read a quick article, and this does a little bit of summarizing of what's going on here. So this is from CNBC this morning. Dow rises more than 300 points after another report hints that inflation could be slowing. The report comes after last week's consumer price index data showed signs of inflationary pressure abating last month, sparking a sharp rally. I think this moves up the Fed's pivot. That is a quote from Jeremy Siegel, Professor Emeritus of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. All we need for them is to recognize what prices on the ground are actually doing, and they are not going up. This is further evidence that maybe the Fed is going to do that 50 basis point rate hike versus the 3 in a row 75 basis point rate hikes that they've been doing, and that I think originally most people were expecting to come in December. I want to go to the CME futures, which take a look at what the market is pricing in. So if you look at this today, it's at 85.4% of the market that thinks there's going to be a 50 basis point rate hike versus 14.6% of the market that thinks there's going to be a 75 basis point hike. But what I want to point out is if we go back to yesterday, this was 80%. So it's up 5% just from yesterday to today. If we go back 1 week ago before CPI came out, this was at 56%. So between CPI and PPI, the market has now basically priced in that the Fed is going to pull back on what they're doing and do a 50 basis point rate hike. Now, that is not a guarantee that that's what's going to happen, but that's what the market is reacting to. So that is why things are up today. And I think we're seeing the small cap high growth stocks have a big surge today as well as a result of this. So most of the stocks that we follow on this channel, be it small cap high growth in the Bitcoin mining industry or in the electric vehicle related industry, or just small cap high growth stocks in general, they are all taking off today for the most part. Even some of the large cap stocks are taking off as well. Tesla's having a big move to the upside. That has been a roller coaster ride over the last week. So if you guys are interested in a Tesla video, drop me a comment below and let me know, because Tesla's been on a very, very wild ride. But they are leading the EV sector today in what is a big upward movement, and it's a big movement across the board. So as I sit here and look at Bitcoin right now, it just crossed back over 17,000. It's at 17,050. So we'll see if that holds, but it seems like a high tide is rising all boats here. So all the equity markets, it looks like the crypto markets, all the small cap high growth are getting the multiples that they usually get on good days like today. So we'll see if this holds up the whole entire day, but that's what's going on. That is what the PPI is. So we're going to pay attention to this in the future. And mostly this is important. Again, not on its own merits, but mostly what people think the effect it's going to have on the Fed when they meet in December as to what the rate hike is going to be. So CPI and PPI are such important data, but it's mostly because those are a big part of the decision-making process, and they are a hint at what the Fed is going to do in the next Fed meeting. So we continue to get maybe better than expected news on these fronts. So inflation possibly is moving in the right direction here in the short term. Way too soon to call it, but good data is better than bad data. So the market is reacting very positively. We'll see if we can get a rally out of this. Remember, this is that time frame. These are the 3 weeks that I thought we could have a nice relief rally. So this PPI data just adds to that time. So I think we have until December 13th when next month's CPI data comes out, and December 14th when the Fed comes out with their rate increase. The time in the middle, I think we have a little bit of a safety zone to possibly rally. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so just taking a quick peek at the market, it still seems to be just about where it was when I started this video. So we'll see where the day ends, but so far a very green day. Positive news again. So this is starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. And again, that 85% chance that the market is building in for a 50 basis point hike. We have almost another month until the Fed makes that change. So this is what the market believes, and this is how they're going to trade. So I remain hopeful that there will be a relief rally before the end of the year. I know for those of you who follow the channel, I've been calling for a relief rally for quite some time now. And instead, we've been heading sideways. Bitcoin's been heading down, but we may yet get this rally after all. We'll see what happens. Remember, there's a members-only live stream today after the market closes. So if you're interested in that, if you're already a member, I hope to see you there. If you're not a member, you can hit the join button to become a member. It's only $5 a month, so we would love to have you there. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.